Hey, it's the Chief. This is a review of Neanderthal by Phil Eklund. All right, I've got my bowl of dead. You'll be pulling out of there and throwing them in wild abandoned. So the very first thing I'm going to show, let me bring these cards over because I'm going to peel them off as we go. Each race will have a sexuality type. There are pair bonding, there is promiscuous, and there is harem holding. And these will also be your victory points. I'll throw in a photo of the cards so you can see it will direct you victory points wise where you're going to go. The other thing it will do is this area over here tells you how many of your vocabulary discs have to go in here. And the more discs you have in here, the less you're able to place out here and keep large amounts of people going, because if they're tied up in here, you have some attrition where if you get just tons and tons of hunters, you've got to have a parity of your verbal abilities that are accessible via the discs, and it's displayed by some being pre-pledged onto these cards. These will sit down. Now you can see pair bonding. Pair bonding will sit down here. It actually has 0 discs have to be placed on there, but if I had harem holding, I would have to place 1 disc on each one of those. Again, I won't go into deep detail, but the idea is that there's some special abilities that you can do, like the promiscuous group can't get married to the daughters that will be born to different vocal groups. The promiscuous can go around and forage for, they call it something, but it's like berries, and you can pick up wild stuff, the gathering type thing over the hunting, which is easier to get more babies and keep your population up. So there's little things with this, and the huge idea of what your victory points are going to be. I will set up you have all these special events, and they also will be the daughters that will be born to these vocal groups that will be able to mature. You'll have to make sure you get them matured, and then they can be married, possibly. Now, so let me show. So you would count off 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you would set off the rest, and you got a whole bunch that get set off to the side, which gives you variability. And again, I'll have a little picture here, but these would go down in that corner there, and I'll flip, and again, I'll put a photo up. So this one, just so I know, is basket weaver woman. And what you have in the top portion are your events, your chaos events. So this is global warming, but you'll also have global cooling. This is an elder die-off. You have to roll a die, and you can lose elders that you have in spots. They die, and that cripples your group. This is chaos. It's supposed to simulate like a comet coming through or something. Any kind of chaos that's going on. You can lose hunters if you don't have enough vocabulary discs to support them. It's real easy to lose half. Then you have blizzards will come in, and once we have daughters up above here, or wives up above, if you can't support these larger family groups, they will die off and go away. So the card will be important for that. There'll be a bidding for which tribe is going to get this card or want this card, and then it would go down in front of your group like so. But I've gotten a little bit ahead of myself, because you would have a south row, or south, you're in like continental Europe, is over, and your north row. So you would count off 6, make sure I can keep all this in. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And your splay that's getting ready to come out here is going to have honeybee and hyenas. And you can see there's all this information on here. I won't go through all of it now, But wild boar, on the flip side, you might be able to domesticate that wild boar. You might be able to take this hyena as a trophy is what that means. This is a string winding. Oh, and there it is. So this is your gathering group could get some food if they had the ability. But later on, you could have an invention, a little snare there. And you have a red deer. And again, all this little verbiage on here. Well, these splay out like so. And then you do the same for your north. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you will see you have the Irish elk. So again, a trophy. You have an alpine, what is it, a marmot? Carcass. You can go in and break, your people can go in and break out bone marrow. It's unbelievable. Woolly mammoth. By the way, while we're up here, if you go after the woolly mammoth and you roll 4s or 5s, that is bloody dice. You will lose your hunters. If you get a 6, they froze to death. Now, if you have a fire starter on your deal, he knows how to start a fire and keep them warm, so then you can nullify that. You've got to have a couple flint discs or your vocabulary in the technical realm in order to hunt this fella. And then, hello, this just means you would have to roll 4 1s or 2s. And then you're going to get 6 babies. You'll end up getting the ability to pull off 3 white, so it's the natural discs. They can sometimes be around on your board, or an immature daughter will have them, and you can get them back into your verbal area and off the card, which means they've matured. Sometimes a husband is on the board and he's immature. He can't get married until he's mature. And you could do the same with either the white disc or the black disc. So here is a tyrant sea bear. This guy's huge. By the way, look at the little man-sized guy on the side. So here, it's this hand is holding the flint. Let's see. Look how huge that thing is. My goodness, this Irish elk is giant. How do they know that? Look how little the guy is. The bear here. Interesting. Where's that little marmot? There, look at that. Look at that little guy. So, nice little touch. But these, all right, can all, that's an invention that if you get into your hand, if you get 3 of a kind of some number, you can collect this in your hand. And if you have elders, you can hold this. And then once you go tribal, you can play inventions down on the table, which will correspond with victory points. So let me set these up. Whoa, craziness. All right, now again, I'm not going to go through a full turn. You can go watch some play-by-play turns, which are awesome. I did that. It helped me grok this thing a little bit better. But I wanted to give you the idea that the way a turn goes is you flip a card for an event. You will go through these different things of if there's global warming, I'll get my hand off there so it'll focus. If there's global warming, if there's global cooling, that'll push cards up and down, sometimes knocking some cards out, bringing new ones in. The ice shelf can come down and start to really limit where you can hunt. Awesome. Once you resolve potential elder deaths, you'll resolve blizzards, and there can even be wanderers. They call them something else. It's your guys will just leave. If you're not doing a good job with your group, they head off to other vocal groups. Once that's resolved, you flip the card 180 degrees. That's where you're looking at the daughters of these different tribes. Now, all 3 tribes, part of the game element they're not tribes yet, sorry. All 3 vocal groups will then bid verbal discs based on it'll say like this one requires at least 1 orange, 1 social verbal disc. So I might say, hey, I'll bid 1. And the guy who's running Cro-Magnon is low on discs and realize if he gets too low and things get bad, he might lose warriors or hunters. So he says, I'm not bidding at all. And then the green player's like, I'll bid 2. He'll get it or she'll get it. They would then put 2 orange discs on their daughter that's in their tribe, just like this. But they have to get those discs off. So if that was the case, let's just say I did it. I would have 2 discs on my daughter showing she's immature. She can't get married yet. The only way you get those off, well, there's a few, but the main way you get those off is by going through with your hunters or your hunters and finding things like, so this fallow deer. Let's see if I can get it in here. The fallow deer, if you're successful, you're going to get some new babies to your tribe or to your group, and then you'll be able to take a disc and move a disc off of a card or somewhere on your placard and put it back into your verbal area. So if I was successful with that, I would be able to bring that off. Now, I need to bring 2 of those off, but once 2 of those off, she could then get married. Now, by having a daughter in your group, there are little areas again, and I'll throw a card up, but there are areas that will give your tribal group, not tribal, your vocal group, certain special powers. Sometimes their elders may be immune to the die-off roll, or they may be able to go gather berries, and they're not a promiscuous gathering society, but they're able to do it because of a daughter they have. Now, the real cool thing is, so if Cro-Magnon man is over there and he has a daughter that has some special abilities, I can also pledge some of my hunters, instead of going out hunting and gathering, they can be pledged or attempt to marry cross-culturally. And the cool thing is, if there's a 6, that daughter killed off the prospective suitor, and a 1 or a 2, and they're married. Now, once they're married, I will get those abilities, or if somebody else married into my daughter, they would get the abilities on her card. I would get the abilities because she's a daughter of my vocal group. But that is how the cross-pollination of, in this game, the idea of the cross-pollination of ideas and vocalization managed to spur on human society. And it's played out in this game in such a fun way. It's just kind of amazing. Now, it can be a little daunting because you have different groups that, promiscuous groups can't get married at all, but some music girl allows a promiscuous marriage. I guess she's tames the wild man or something. I don't know. But there's all these cool little things that are going on with your daughters, with your marriages, with the cooling and warming of climate, the different animals that are available. If you hunt big game and there is a predator in that same row, they will then come after that carcass and you'll have to fight them off, and you got to fight again, and they're very tough to fight, and you can lose all your guys or lose some of them, but not enough to take off that predator. So then they steal your carcass and you don't get any of the cool stuff that you would have got from it. It's like, oh, so there's all these back and forth things going on. Now, you'll go through multiple phases that are broke down on the card. So you're going from event, you're going to bidding for daughters, then you're going out on a hunting phase, and there's little steps inside each of these that I won't go into. Then you will, after you process those, you'll come back out, and a very cool thing is, so a daughter, if she's mature, and in pair bonding societies also must be married, she then allows you to have these, I forget what they call it, neoplexia. Neoplexia is that you're basically learning how to use your brain, and allows you to take discs and put them into certain areas of your brain, increasing your ability to verbalize and then become maybe a napper or a warrior or a trapper. So you're hunting or looking for daughters that will match up as they come available to areas that you need to work on in your brain. And then by marrying into other groups or tribes, if they've gone tribal, you can grab those things that you're lacking in your own tribe, which is just awesome. So this game is playing in prehistoric history, and it is a joy. But get ready for a lot of dice chucking and a little bit of my frontal brain here was just on fire. Woo! The first time I played, I was a little lost. I worked my way through, and it was great. I tried to to woo my wife into playing, walked her through kind of a turn, and she goes, nah, not the game for me. But we'll come out and I will give final thoughts rather than hear while you're just looking at this. All right, so I kind of threw some of my views already in there. First of all, the small box. I love this small box. I'm always surprised about the amount of game that comes in Phil Eklund's tiny little boxes. It's like a whole nother amazing thing. Like this just keeps growing bigger and bigger. There's so many elements in this game that unpack themselves differently based on how your the North and the South row cards come out, which events trigger, which daughters with those events come out, which groups end up with which types of sexuality. There is so much going on that my frontal lobe was alive. My vocabulary centers of my brain were exploding. I love the fact that these discs represent your vocal group's vocabulary ability, their ability to communicate amongst themselves and about the natural environment, their social interactions, and then their, oh shoot, I'm forgetting what it's called, but they're like technical skill. Can they flint? Do they know how to have sharpened sticks, or do they add spear tips, stone spear tips to them? And then the little stories that are told, and the loss of your elders. These elders need to be protected because they hold so much information. You get to see how the loss of elders devastates a group, their knowledge base, what they can go out and do in their biomes. There's just this cool depth of gameplay learning that's going on. Not to mention, when you can't support your group, or your amount of vocabulary can't support the growth, you get into this deal where you lose half, or maybe a card allows you to mitigate to 4 of your hunters. But the idea that's conveyed with this is clearly, as you grow, you must work and learn to communicate, whether it's in the natural world, hey, where's the best hunting area? In the technical world, hey, Joe, ook over here. Ook means yes, ook I think is no, or vice versa. That's in the rules. He's created this new flint technique, and it's awesome. We can take down bigger prey. What? We can eat better? Or socially, hey, look, we're all working better together. That's interesting. Wouldn't that be nice? All packed in to this tiny little box with this big face on there, and magical. I like it. See you guys. Bye.